Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a review of This Is Us Season 5, Episode 5. See, Coco is so excited that This Is Us is back from hiatus.
And so are we.
It has been a long time.
Yep, and this was a great episode. There was a lot in there that we've been waiting to sort of know a little bit more about. There's been a little more talk with Kevin and Randall, and then there's some questionable stuff in here too.
They're not messing around this season. Like, I do appreciate that. We don't have to spend, like, the next several episodes, like, really wondering, okay, when is the fisherman, who we now know is High, that's his name, when is he gonna reach out to Randall, or what did William know, suppose? It's like, we have answers.
Yeah.
Granted, we also still have a lot of questions.
Yes, we do, and we're going to go over all of them here with you guys.
Before we do, though, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because as you guys know, we like to think we're all one big, intergalactic Pearson family talking all about This Is Us online.
And also, happy holidays to everybody. If we didn't get a chance to talk to you guys in the comments, hope that everybody had a really good holiday and that 2021 is being very good to you. We have a bunch of stuff up from our holidays up on our Instagram at Matt and Jess TV. So make sure you head over there and follow us.
A lot of it's just pictures of her. Like, she's really the star of the Instagram more than we are.
Also, the deep fryer that Matt actually got for Christmas.
So far, the deep fryer is going better than the crock pot did for Jack. Is it too soon to make a Jack Pearson crock pot joke? Okay.
I'm very excited about your deep fryer. My birthday's coming up in February, and I want donuts.
See, I want all sorts of things.
It's a gift for the whole family.
It's a gift for everyone. Just like This Is Us. It's a gift for all of us to be able to smile, to celebrate. Can I just say, first of all, the biggest gift to me in this episode was Jaewon doing that little dance when Randall came in and he's got like on the buff suit.
And he's got the whole office in on it. That was so funny.
I just imagine Jaewon like sending some like poor campaign intern into like a party city. It's like, you gotta get me all of these buff suits so we can run around the office.
How cool is it though to have a boss like Randall that can take a joke like that?
If you're going to engage in this level of just like tomfoolery online like Randall did, it's very good that Randall did not go in there and have some sort of like meltdown. Also, there was no Malik in this episode at all. Has Malik just been sent to like, I don't know, some sort of purgatory now?
It would have been pretty funny to see him in there in the suit as well.
Yeah.
However, that's also some dangerous territory since that is his girlfriend's dad.
It would, I could just, because like Sante Black is like a rising, could you imagine like his agent like, yeah, so they want you for another episode and they just want you to dance around in this outfit.
I know.
It would have been great. But, Randall's story in this episode, Sterling, how do they always make Sterling like even better than what he was in the last episode?
Yeah, there was a lot for him to unpack. So he did get this email from High saying that he knows Laurel, that there may be a connection with William Hill. This all might be connected. He sent it in. Randall sat on it for a little while. He just really wasn't sure what he wanted to do. After talking to Beth, after talking to the therapist, he has decided to contact High and find out a little more information, because he was feeling really messed up at the idea that his dad, William, lied to him and that he knew all this time that his mom was alive and didn't tell him. So the other mystery that we were all kind of wondering is Laurel still alive now in the present? Yeah. And the answer is no. She passed away, it seems like 2015, so a few years ago, from breast cancer. So she is no longer part of the story alive.
And I think this is something that a lot of people guess. Like, this wasn't as like dramatic a twist as we've seen on This Is Us in the past. And it makes sense because they're not going to have a Nikki situation every single time where they're all still alive and out there. But
yeah, and I was glad that they actually didn't sort of repeat this Nikki story that, she's not here anymore. There is still a mystery because there was all these years that she was alive and didn't reach out to Randall, and we still don't know why.
And, and that does bring us to the setup of what is probably going to be next week's episode based on some of the information that's out there. And, that's all exciting, and I got to get into a little bit of choppy water here, and I hate doing it. I hate that we have to have discussions about the virus and everything else still in 2021.
But the thing is this show is very rooted in reality and relatability and sort of all of these things. And they've done a really good job integrating what's been going on with the health crisis and sort of showing how it's affected everybody on the show.
I found it a little bit off that Randall in the conversation with Hai at the end would be like, I'm gonna go down there, and Hai is just so willingly on board. And like, from an emotional standpoint, like, I get it a million times over. This is information that Randall has always wanted. I think it's just because we've all been living in this now for almost 10 months, my thoughts immediately go to, okay, is Randall gonna talk to him about, being tested, or is there going to be a way that they can do this safely? Because it doesn't seem like Randall, to me, in all of this, would just sort of recklessly go down there without preparing for it first.
Yeah, they didn't really put enough into that moment, and I'm hoping, and I feel like they will in the next episode, show that he's preparing in some sort of way, because we've seen that their household specifically is very, very careful. Like, even in the very first episode this season, we saw Beth be like, nope, you can't even come in here until you've sanitized your hands. So the idea that's gonna be like, we're gonna jump on a plane and go and see this man who's in his 60s, so he's a senior, and we don't know where he's been or what he's doing. He doesn't know what we've been doing. Someone who's a bit more high risk, that there's nothing in place. There's no sort of idea that maybe they're going to do something like Chris Clemens, for any of you guys who watch that YouTuber, we love him. Mm-hmm. Whenever he has done any sort of collaboration with any other YouTuber, they've both been doing like the rapid testing or any type of testing to make sure that they have a negative test before they even see each other. So I'm hoping that there's going to be something like that.
I just wish personally that This Is Us, maybe in like episode 3 or something, had just introduced vaccines and just gotten some of the characters vaccinated. And, I don't think anyone out there would have had a problem with This Is Us moving past, the pandemic or anything else that's going on. They will have already shown the reality to it. They probably didn't know when things were going to get better at the time that they were writing these scripts. So I would have been fine if they just moved on past it, and then we didn't have to sit here and even have this conversation at all.
Yeah, it's true. But this is where we are. They have introduced it into the show. No vaccine on the show right now. And now we have Randall being like, I'm going to come on out there. So hopefully next episode, a little more clarity on that.
The one thing I really did love leading up to that was that it seemed like the conversation that pushed Randall over the top was Kevin calling him, and like just the emotion of like Justin Hartley and Sterling K. Brown in this scene. They said so much at times without even saying a lot. Like, there were a lot of like meaningful pauses in this conversation.
Just Sterling's face, you could see his one eye was just tearing up talking to him, said more than almost anything that they said to each other. But I really loved that we had Kevin broach some of these subjects where we didn't actually really see it on screen, but just to bring up, to be like, hey, I spoke to Kate about your conversation with her, so now I know more about how you felt growing up, but I want to hear it from you. Did you really feel this way? I didn't know. And that makes sense that he wouldn't actually know. He didn't have those conversations with Randall. Their parents didn't really have those conversations with any of the kids. So, I mean, Kevin also being a lot more self-involved back then, he wouldn't have known that stuff. But now he is at a time that he's looking to change.
I also just love that they had this conversation without going the super obvious route. Because yes, Kevin could have just opened up and started it with explicitly, and I'm sorry, and I'm sure Randall would have appreciated that. But I think it almost speaks more that Kevin was asking, real important, thoughtful questions and saying things that he's clearly spent some time about. And Randall's a smart guy. Randall can take away an element of remorse from everything that Kevin is saying without it going like down a very predictable straight line.
Yeah, and I like that Kevin didn't actually get a chance to tell what he was thinking. So we saw that he's having this sort of back and forth pull inside of him about his job and his relationship and his babies. And we got that flashback to Kevin talking to Randall, where Randall had given him a call and had said, you know, do you really want to go to LA? You're married to Sophie, you're going to leave her. No, our relationship is solid enough for this. And we all know how that ended up. It didn't end up well at all. And now here's Kevin at this crossroads again, career and his woman and his babies. And he's now in the taxi doing the same thing again, going with his career and not looking at the family behind. And so making that call and actually not having the exact conversation about why he's calling, but to say, I'm calling because I'm at this crossroads and my first thought is, what would Randall do? Basically saying, you are important to me. Your thoughts are important to me. Your opinions are important to me. And I value what you would think over what my own decision making is, was that moment where we saw then Randall tearing up. And I was like, man, this is so good.
There was one moment in here, though, I will admit, I was very concerned that we were about to go take a very wrong turn, because when Kevin started to talk about, you know, I've got this stuff going on in my life, I was very terrified that this was going to be a, you know, I'm calling you Randall because I need you now, and, you know, I don't really care about you, but I'm just going to call and just unload on you all my feelings.
I was worried about that, too, for a minute.
Thank you, Kevin, for not doing. I already have enough jerky dudes. Well, mostly one jerky dude to spend a lot of time talking about in this video. I didn't need to add you to the list.
Now, we're not going to get too deep into the Kevin and Madison sort of situation that's going on. We might do another video about that a little bit later this week, but it is a very sort of interesting crossroads that he's at, because he has made this decision before to put career before the person that he's with and his family and sort of that thing. And I know there was the conversation where he's like, well, you know who I am and where, you know, my career is. And it was nice to see Madison stand up and be like, I told you I was willing to do this on my own, and that I wanted to just do this on my own so that it wouldn't interfere with your life and what you wanted to do with your career. But it's kind of unfair to just assume then that Madison has to drop her whole life and is like, oh, we're all going on the road now. We have to do what you want, Kevin. Well, maybe she doesn't want that.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin necessarily was leaning intentionally into it, but I think Kevin in his head, he just wrote this narrative of, okay, and him being all in, that means automatically that she has to be all in on his lifestyle and the way that he wants to go about and doing things, that he just assumes, okay, that's the way it's going to be, like, you know, his job and his career is somehow more important than hers, and, you know, it's just not true, and people do different things, and they find value in themselves in different ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand acting and that type of a profession does bring you all over the place, and but it can also, you can pick jobs if they're available to you that are more locally.
Yeah, you can find a way to make it work. And also he's been very successful in his life. He's not in this situation where if he doesn't take the job in Vancouver, his entire, you know, financial future is going to fall apart. I think that's a contributing factor here as well. Yeah, I'm excited to see where these two go. It's like, I like watching the two of them, but yeah, I don't have like confidence in sitting here, and we'll talk more about it down the road, where I can't sit here and say, oh, for sure Madison is around and they're together in the future.
Yeah, I mean, they did have that conversation where they basically told each other that they're starting to love each other, where she was like, I love the idea of our family, and he just kind of paused and was like, I love the idea of our family too, where it feels like they're getting to that spot.
It's like on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, where like somebody is saying like I'm starting to fall in love with you, and then the other person's like, I have love for you. It's like they're trying to figure out every way to say it until they actually do.
Yeah.
All right, so this episode, even though we're 14 minutes in now, it really was mostly Kate's story. Like, Kate was sort of the central character and a lot of it is we finally sort of learned exactly what happened in her past.
Yeah, so we had the big conversation about whether or not she was holding an ovulation kit or she was holding a pregnancy kit, because both of them were actually in the show in that last episode. And as it turns out, they've come out and they've said that it was just an error and they were both supposed to be pregnancy kits. She was never holding an ovulation kit, so we will say that here.
Yeah.
So this episode, we learned that, yes, she was pregnant. She did decide to terminate that pregnancy. And that was a storyline that as soon as it came out, I knew was going to be controversial for a lot of people because everybody has very strong opinions on that topic.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be strong opinions throughout the internet about it. I think they handled it in a delicate way. I think they handled it in a way that allowed Kate to sort of have just the independence to make the decision that she wanted to make on the subject. I think they really put you inside her head, showed you exactly what she was thinking.
And how difficult it really was for her, even to the point that she went back to see Mark again years later of what that relationship did to her, how badly it hurt her, that it did come up at the same time as her father passing. So it was extra difficult on her, and how he had taken advantage of that. And then you add on top of that a pregnancy. It's a lot to take in, and it was good to get that sort of perspective of the layers of things that happened to her to get her to that point where she was like, I need to terminate this pregnancy. I can't.
Yeah, they did a good job of showing it's definitely not an easy decision. It's not something she took lightly. It's something that weighed on her over time to the point where she just kept it in and didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, not even Toby.
Yeah, until she finally ends up telling Toby about it. And, she wants to even go there. And when she's having that conversation with Mark, in the past, I think it's pretty clear that she's going over there to explain exactly what's happened. Like, she tells him that she has something very heavy to talk to him about.
Yeah, and he's not interested in it. He's at this place that, we all have seen from the outside looking in how bad that situation is. And, I mean, she knows it herself, but now she's pregnant and she's looking to make this decision. I think she wanted to have that one last try. Let me just see, just in case, and it's very clear that he is a really big bad problem for her in her life. So she does make the decision. She's talking to Toby about it. I actually really like that conversation at the table with Toby and sort of how it all worked out, where he was like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, well, yeah, I should have told you, but there was really, how do you bring that up? And he's just like, we were trying to get pregnant for years. Yeah. We had multiple times that you could have brought this up, that all we talked about was pregnancies. So I do like that was there, and that he was kind of like, there was opportunities and I was here to listen.
Yeah, I really like that too, because I think it's, Toby is there for her and he's supportive of her, and I think it's a situation where it's fine for him to ask these questions and wonder these things, because I think some people in his position probably would have wondered those same things as well, because you want to think, okay, we're not hiding anything from each other, but then you hear Kate talk about it, and it makes sense why Kate didn't tell him. It's like that explanation also makes perfect sense. So you can see both perspectives, and you see Toby support her throughout the episode, and even just sitting in the car knowing he wants to go take Mark down.
Yeah, because there was a lot of layers of stuff that Kate was holding on to of why she didn't want to talk about terminating that pregnancy, because it was linked to a really bad relationship that, she didn't want to have him feel pity towards her or some sort of sympathy. She wanted that opportunity for Toby to sit in the car as support, but she needed to take care of it for herself. And man, that scene was rough. Going there and seeing that nothing had changed. Mark was exactly the same. When she said that, can you look back? When you look back, what do you think of that relationship? And the way he explained it, she was just like, man, nothing's changed in 22 years. It is exactly the same. I'm so glad I was able to get out of this.
Yeah, he's still a jerk. Like, Mark is the worst no matter what timeline you find him in, clearly. Like, everyone around Mark also knows he's the worst. Like, I appreciated the boss coming out and was like, this is like your third smoke break in the last hour. You want to work, get back inside.
I was glad, though, that Kate gave him an opportunity to sort of be clear about who he is now. Because, like I said, 22 years has passed. A lot can change in that time. Yeah, he was 24 at the time, but he's still a young man. Like, yeah, he's a man, but he's a young man. And, you know, now we're at this point where it's 20 years later. Some people change, some people don't, clearly, where it happened with Mark. So to ask that question, when you think back, what do you think? He could have been like, oh man, like I look back at that and I was terrible to you. Like I've long wanted to come and tell you, you know, how I feel. You know, maybe he's gone through therapy. Maybe he's gone through another types of relationships that helped him change. Or maybe he's the same.
I think the interesting thing for Kate is I think she went into this thinking I need to get closure no matter what. And based on what at least I sort of know about Kate from watching the show, her options were, it goes well, I end up telling him about everything that happened, you know, we try to mend things and move forward, or I'm going to tell this guy right off and explain exactly how I feel about what he did to me, and then at least I get closure, and then like she explained, so wonderfully she explained this, now you can carry all of this garbage on you because I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, that gives closure to me as an audience member too, watching this, because we all hate Mark. He is the worst.
Yes.
So that idea that she's like, I am passing this back to you. I've carried your crap for all these years. I'm done with it. I have a great man. I have a great baby. Like I am moving on and I need to just give it back.
I'm going to put this out there now. I never need to see Mark again. I'm done with him now. There's no purpose in bringing him back. I don't need him in the present. I don't need him in the past. Mark, just go into the distance with other terrible characters nobody ever wants to see, and you can live there.
I would like that.
Here's the bite.
But here's the problem, right? When you look up people from your past and then you go and do something like this and you're like, you're a terrible person. You did this to me and that. I'm putting all this back on you. Peace out. It's unlikely in real life that Mark is just going to be like, okay, never see you again. It's going to be something that could sit on him, that later he could come back and be like, oh no, up mine? No, up yours. I'm back here now. Like, you open that door, you don't get to just always just shut it behind you. Sometimes Mark is walking back through it again to be like, no, we're not done.
I will only accept seeing Mark again if it leads to somebody telling him off even better, whether it is Kate or Toby or whoever else. I'm fine. Can we get Randall to come in and tell off Mark? I would also appreciate that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, do I think we're probably done with Mark? I think so. But if this was more reality, I think she's opened the door to other problems.
One of the things that I think is going to be an interesting story to watch over the next few episodes is Rebecca was almost a complete no-show in this episode, and we didn't see that much of her. And, you know, Mandy Moore is pregnant in real life. I don't know if that's going to limit how much they use her or if that's sort of changing around things. But this episode, despite having, like, so many storylines, it felt kind of small. Like, we really didn't see that many characters other than just, like, little windows into people's lives.
And I'm okay with that right now. I mean, I want to know what's going on with Rebecca. I still am waiting on my Miguel storyline here. But there is so much that's going on with the big three right now that I'm okay having something that's a little more intimate and seeing what the three of them are dealing with in their own lives.
And this was just a very well-balanced episode. We had a lot of good stuff for everyone.
Yep.
I think we're set up well for the next part of the show. I'm just so happy it's back.
Me too.
All right, well, what did you guys think? What moment spoke to you? Let us know in the comments. Give us all your theories on where we're going from here. We'll have more soon enough. And if you like this video, subscribe, give us a like, support us further by checking those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.